Kara wrote to me. Kara said, David, lots of people say that even though they miss youth generally, that their lives are better as adults. You have agency, you have more control over your life, etc. But do you miss being a kid, and what do you miss about it? I agree generally that when you are an adult, you can make decisions about your life that are really liberating. And it's hard to even really imagine going back to being a kid and not being able to make decisions for yourself. So there is no doubt that being able to direct one's life as an adult is a really great and powerful thing. At the same time, with direction, with self-direction comes responsibility. And I totally understand the sort of romanticized view of, I was a kid, summer went on forever, it was 3 months long, I didn't have to figure stuff out, parents figured stuff out for me. I get that.
And when you look back at your childhood memories, a lot of the time you're thinking of the best moments, right? And,
Sure.
and that really goes to the fact that nostalgia is our view looking back on things where it wasn't as good as it was at the time.
At the time, you also don't get the ways in which things will not remain that way later. And I think that if you were able to relive youth knowing those things, like for example, the older you get, the more difficult it is to establish new significant friendships, right? Because people, the people I'm most in touch with are people that became my friends between ages 14 and 26, probably. And the number of close friends that I've made in the last 4 years is disproportionately small compared to the number of close friends that I have from when I was younger, type of thing. The ease of making friends when you are younger is something that you may not realize until you see how things are different in the sort of post-college era. That's sort of one thing. Certainly, I think the idea of being able to put time into hobbies, you don't call them hobbies when you're a kid, it's just what you do. And as an adult, you sort of have to carve out time for these things in many cases.
Yeah, playing with others and socializing, that's what develops friendships. And a lot of the times when we're in a sort of work environment, you get older,
right,
you can't really do that stuff anymore.
Yep. And I think, the other aspect would be, for me, it was when traveling to see family, right? When I would go back to Argentina to see family, it was just great in every way, right? My parents figure out what's the trip, what are the details, what are we doing? And I just show up there and I get to spend 2, 3, or sometimes 4 weeks seeing my grandparents and my cousins and all these different people. And then you go back and you come home. And although it was difficult to leave my family, it was much different than having been the parent who made the decision to say, our immediate family is going to separate here and we're going to go somewhere else. And while for me, it was always sort of sad to be leaving my cousins and my friends, now my adult trips make me realize sort of the magnitude, and this makes me think a lot about the immigration situation that we have in this country, the magnitude of deciding to leave your country and going elsewhere and coming back and everything that's attached to it. That is major adult stuff.
And I'm sure it is draining. Another thing, too, is I remember holidays back in the day being the best things because you were the center of attention.
Right.
At this point, you have to deal with adults and socialize, and it's
Yeah.
really not the best.
And your crazy conservative uncle, who is the sort of prototypical, as I like to say. And I don't actually have a crazy conservative uncle, but I've got some lefty conspiracy theorists in my family, and that can be just as challenging, I guess, at holiday events.